bottom left-hand side is our blue Protoss player representing Team Gen GX. It is PiLiPiLi.
And his opponent spawning up in the top right, representing Storm Gaming. It is the gatekeeper of NA. Give it up for JonSnow.
What a dope nickname. It's so cool. So cool. And it looks like we got standard openings here. We got the gateway on the low ground for PiLiPiLi. That hatch first out of JonSnow. So Steadfast, let's talk groups for just a minute here. Unlike the EU scene, the North America only has 2 different groups of 8. So EU has 32 total players in 4 groups of 8. NA has 16 total players in 2 groups of 8. Now, Group A looks like a mess right now. Steadfast, do you want to tell the people a little bit about why Group A looks so weird?
All right, so if you go to Wikipedia or whatever site it is you use to, track these things, you're going to notice that there's a real weird situation going on where you have currently in rank 1, Scarlet, in rank 8, Vindicta. And then if you look at 6 players, they are all ranked 2 right now with a set score of 1-1 and a map score of 2-2.
That's so weird. It's so unlikely for that to happen. Normally you would expect in an even distribution, 2 players at 2-0, 4 players at 1-1, and 2 players at 0-2. As it is, there's a whole mess of players in the middle of this bracket, all jostling for one of those positions. Of course, remember guys, the top 4 players in each group will move on to the bracket stages after this. The bottom 4 players get eliminated. But not only are players competing for those top 4 spots, there's very real competition for the top 2 spots as well. Why is that, Steadfast?
Well, there's going to be a really hotly contested setup there. Of course, the advantage of that top 2 spot is you do find yourself basically a round further than anyone who makes it in 3rd, 4th. So that you're basically getting a bye. And the impact, it's not just that you're getting a bye, but the impact of your first map win is so much bigger. Yeah. Because if you win a single set from the lower bracket, you advance over in NA, I guess it would be 2 other players, in EU 4. But if you do so in from the upper bracket, all of a sudden you're jumping yourself like a guaranteed 6 or 8 spots. It's something ridiculous.
It really is. It's huge. And, as with any dual elimination bracket, not only do you have that sort of extra life banked up if you're in the top side of the bracket, but you got to play many fewer games. If you start up at the top side of the bracket, if you win 3 series in a row, that's it. You're done. You've won the championship. In the lower bracket, it's something like 5 or 6 that you've got to go through, almost twice as much to wade through if you get one of those 3rd or 4th place spots in the group. So obviously very hotly contested for those top 4 spots, and especially for the top 2. And Group A looking like it could be anybody's banana right now, Steadfast. Now, PiLiPiLi has got 2 oracles out on the map. And he's going for possibly a 3rd one after this. I love the Stargate openers, especially with a ton of oracles here. The Overlord going to get pushed out before he spots it. And how do you feel about the Stargate opener from PiLiPiLi? And how do you feel especially about a double oracle opener?
I really like the concept of hiding it if you can get away with it. And it looks like PiLiPiLi, he is going to have pretty much a clear path to the main base. It's just going to be these couple of overlords on the right side that see it. And that is a really nice start. Ooh, we're also seeing a 4 oracle move out, or 4 adept move out. Something that isn't all that common in the matchup, but is starting to gain traction. And coupling it with this double oracle, it could get a lot of damage done if JonSnow doesn't defend perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be so difficult. Look at that preemptive drone pull. JonSnow saw this coming, responded immediately. All those drones going into natural, but of course the Adepts are here to try and get a couple kills. Not the best focused fire ever from JonSnow. We see a couple errant glaive shots going on to some Lings, but the Oracles are sweeping back into the main. The danger returns here, Steadfast, and oh, this is a bunch of dead drones.
11 dead drones overall, and that is so much damage. JonSnow, he is committing to a big attack right now. He got that Roach Warren, and he did not start up a layer, so he is very all in right now, and PiLiPiLi recognizes he's done a lot of damage. He can cancel this base. Now, funnily enough, JonSnow is actually going to be droning out of this, So knowing that there were oracles on the map, he decided not to commit into it anyways. But look at what we've got following this up for PiLiPiLi. What are your thoughts on the triple Stargate?
You know, we saw this last series, I believe. One of our players going for a triple Stargate follow-up off of 2 bases, with the 3rd base down a little bit late. So obviously it can really work. The question is going to be, what is PiLiPiLi going to crank out of those triple Stargates? Right now, he's adding on more and more Phoenix, so it looks to be mass Phoenix behind this. Now, usually we see mass Phoenix with a Robo Bay, and they go into Phoenix Colossus from here, but it's also entirely possible to win a game on the back of just Phoenix alone, and with that early +1 air weapons coming down, it looks like that is exactly what PiLiPiLi is going for. Ooh, these queens coming across the map, though. They're way across the map. Oh, I thought they were just going to go ahead and go for it. They will be retreating onto creep just to save those overlords there. A very nice defensive play from JonSnow, but yeah, looks like mass Phoenix out of PiLiPiLi. This has not been spotted by JonSnow as of yet. He really needs to get a beat on this quicker rather than, or more quickly rather than later.
Looks like he has sniffed something out because he is getting. He hasn't seen it, but he's getting extra spore crawlers right now.
Interesting.
And, yeah, I don't know what tipped him off here. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. This is really curious.
Good read. Yeah, and the Hydralisk Den coming down behind this, almost certainly saying that he knows that some sort of air aggression is on the field.
Maybe just, you know, a little bit. He could be expecting Mass Void Ray.
Right.
And this. Well, no. This has definitely got to be Phoenix's because you wouldn't build this many spores at every base.
Right.
But either way, excellent read from JonSnow. Ooh, Adepts thinking about shading forward, decide not to. They're going to try and go after the Spore Crawler. And, well, they might be able to find something. Oh, the lift's coming in on these queens.
Incredible amount
Phoenixes.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Just an incredible amount of photon, an incredible amount of graviton beams available here, and nice micro from PiLiPiLi. Look at that, not losing a single, or pardon me, losing 2 Phoenix now, but really not that bad at all. Able to snipe out how many queens, Steadfast? How many queens?
6 queens just went down right there. That was absolutely brutal for not only the defenses, but the larva inject of JonSnow. He is really hurting right now.
Man, queens are such a good unit. I know there's a Korean, I think I say this every time, but there's a Korean clan that's called Free Hydralisk complaining about how unfair queens are. They're just like getting free Hydralisks on the map. But yeah, they're absolutely so powerful, as you said, not just for the creep spread, not just for the attack power, but also for those injects. What the hell? This one rogue Phoenix is gonna, it's like the Jason Bourne Phoenix over there. It's just gonna go on its own solo mission and get some damage done. But yeah, going into the main base now with so few queens available, he's gonna be relying on static defense, and of course static defense, fairly easy to micro out of for PiLiPiLi. It's much easier to dodge a Spore Crawler because they have to be retargeted so weirdly as opposed to Queen. So it's got to be very difficult for JonSnow right now. And I feel like even though PiLiPiLi has been scouted out now, he knows what JonSnow knows what he's up against. Losing those Queens still puts him in a pretty rough position as the game goes forward.
Yeah, this is a really tough position for him. He doesn't have a bead just yet on the fact that PiLiPiLi is going for this relatively quick, you said it best, fleet bacon. And, well, couple more drones going to get picked off here. 3 spores. Still not enough to prevent damage from being done. God, that's got to be so frustrating as a Zerg player, building way too many spores. I mean, look at the structures tab. He's got 14 spore crawlers on the map, and PiLiPiLi is still finding little bits and bobs of damage here and there. Carriers, of course, the natural follow-up for PiLiPiLi. Air armor level 1 on the way as well. +1 missile attacks just now getting started for JonSnow. Now, JonSnow's rotating. He's already got the Hydralisks out, and he's moving into Lurker Den behind this. Steadfast, why go Lurker Den against an air army from a Protoss player? Well, the classic combination that a lot of Zerg players have started to, well, I say classic, but it's relatively new. A lot of Zerg players have started to incorporate a lot more in the matchup is Hydra Lurker Viper. And well, the Lurkers act extremely well against, you know, Archons, Immortals, particularly High Templar. And that's what guards those Vipers. And then the Vipers, they allow you to abduct. You go for heavy upgrades. And while, you know, carriers are very, very strong, they're very strong. If you can get up to like 3-2 Hydras and a couple of Vipers for abducts, you got some Spore Crawlers there, you've got Lurkers to zone out High Templar, it becomes really difficult to deal with as the Protoss player. Yeah,
baby. I expect you to go full who's the actor on Arrested Development where he's like you got a stew going. That's what I was expecting you to go for when you're like a couple of Vipers, some Hydralisks. Who was that guy? Oh, the guy from Ghostbusters.
Carl Weathers. Yeah.
Carl Weathers. That's right. Acting coach Carl Weathers. Again, we got the 3 Spore Crawlers, still not enough. Some Overlord's going to go down as well. I mean, one Overlord going to go down, but every little pickup counts here for PiLiPiLi, whose Phoenix are not just doing economic damage, not just doing some build order damage, but keeping JonSnow back home, right? He's got to keep those Hydralisks in play if there's any chance the Phoenix are going to dip back in. Now, Spore Crawler, Hive Tech on the way from JonSnow, even going up for the +2 missile attacks, but again, these Phoenix from PiLiPiLi just being pernicious as all get out, and this is buying him more and more time until those carriers come out. Wow, a very bold play from PiLiPiLi to try and dive on top of those Hydralisks, but his micro is incredible here, Steadfast.
Yeah, I don't think he actually, I may be wrong, but I don't think he lost a Phoenix right there, which seems impossible to me. Like, I look at that, and it shouldn't, my brain can't comprehend not losing a Phoenix right there. That's incredible.
Yeah, just wonderful micro. Wonderful micro. This is insane. I mean, look at the units lost tab. 22 drones have gone down. He's lost more drones than units that PiLiPiLi has lost combined. Just insane. And now the carrier count is up to that scary number where it's 7 with 3 more on the way. That's always the danger when you're a Protoss player going for carriers is can you hold off until your carrier number gets up to a scary number. 3 carriers, not that scary. 5 carriers, still not great. 7, 10, 15, that's where it really gets terrifying. The good news for JonSnow is, though, he already has 2 of those Vipers on the map. It looks like PiLiPiLi's not going to wait for him to get into the game, though.
No, there's no charge, though, on these Zealots, and they're getting obliterated by the Lurkers. Now, Static Defense is going to have to reposition here. Oh, man, this is a lot of carriers. It doesn't seem like much, but with the Spore Crawlers repositioning, he may... Oh, man. Actually, no, I think JonSnow's been broken. PiLiPiLi sticking on just 65 probes right now, and he decided to go for a very, very expensive one-punch army, basically. Yep. And it is looking like he may just be able to break through right here. JonSnow, look at all of the spores he has. He still has 23 spores on the map, and, well, with a Parasitic Bomb coming in, that is going to help a little bit, but really it's the interceptor count that he needs to shave off. Oh, yeah. These Phoenixes, they're going to find the Viper.
They really will. Nice play there. Every Viper that goes down is huge. I will say there's no Observer with this army, and of course the Oracle is now dead, which means the Lurkers are going to be safe for now, unscouted. And with some good focus fire there, the Hydras do pick off a weakened carrier. But one of the real problems with relying on those Spore Crawlers, that static defense, is that it's very difficult, as I understand it, from a pro Zerg player. It's very difficult to retarget those Spore Crawlers directly onto the carriers, and they normally just auto-attack the interceptors, which is not really what you want to do. You want to be focus firing down those carriers and trying to get as many of them off the field as you can. It's a nice short-term win to kill off interceptors, but you really need that long-term win to prevent the carriers from getting up to a high number. And we're on 11 carriers now, with 4 more on the way. Steadfast, do you see any way out of this for JonSnow?
Honestly, it feels a little bit like he is just getting drowned right now. As you said, he doesn't really have a way to deal with the carriers themselves. And so PiLiPiLi, he's slowly but surely picking away at his opponent. And while JonSnow has had an excellent worker count this whole time, PiLiPiLi is continuing to basically every time an interceptor round builds, he's able to pick off a couple of rallying units. And once he finds this base, that is going to be really desperate situations for JonSnow. Oh, he's got Burrow!
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
That is really cute here. Again, the unit tab, there are no observers and there are no oracles on the map, so burrowed units will be completely safe. So some cute micro. JonSnow may be actually able to build his army supply up just a little bit more, and of course does save all those drones at that top left-hand base. Now, additional Vipers coming out, some Corruptors coming out as well, but as you pointed out earlier, PiLiPiLi's interceptor number continues to grow more and more. He buys himself some time in between these engagements. Both players a bit starved for minerals right now. Is JonSnow in a position where he might be able to take a good engagement here?
I don't think so. He doesn't have enough Spore Crawlers. They are doing a good job of tanking for the Hydras, but oh, nice job target firing down that Viper from PiLiPiLi, and he is just going to break right on through. Man. This is a bloodbath. Units lost, 8,000 in favor of PiLiPiLi right now. Oof, that's a big parasitic bomb. But at the end of the day, I think there's just too much Protoss, too many interceptors, and too much for JonSnow to handle.
GG, and PiLiPiLi grabs game number 1 here. You said it really well at the end there, Steadfast. It's just simply too much. Parasitic bombs are great, but carriers are chonky boys. They've got a bunch of HP rather, and it takes, correct me if I'm wrong, 4 parasitic bombs to completely kill a carrier, I think, which just means you've got to stay constantly on top of them here. Continued parasitic bombs are so tough to land. Those carriers have such good range. If your Viper darts in, it's likely gonna die. Just a tough place to be. Steadfast, what's the answer to 15 carriers on the map from a Protoss player? What can you do as a Zerg player against that?
I mean, it is tough to deal with. There's no denying that. But something you can do is absolutely go for either a faster Corruptor transition, possibly some quicker Carapace upgrades would have helped a lot. Those carriers, by the end of the game, they were up to +2 attack versus no armor on his opponent's Hydras right there. And that makes things really, really difficult. Now, the Lurkers, they were great against those Zealots, but they were a really big commitment to basically just stop, what, like 15 slow Zealots?
Yeah, something like that. That was a big waste from PiLiPiLi there. I definitely thought he might get more damage done, but the Lurkers just got cleared out so quickly. One Revelation, and they were just gone, baby. Solid gone. Game 2, gonna be on Lightshade. LE. Lightshade, another pretty large, like, responsibly sized map here. Do you expect to see another big macro game, or do you think it's time for JonSnow to bust out some cheese?
I mean, he did try and cheese in that last game, but kind of ran into a really awkward scenario with those unscouted oracles, and yeah, he felt he couldn't commit, and I think that was the right decision. But I don't know. I don't know if he goes for another attack. I wouldn't mind going for like a big bust on a third base on this map because it is so wide open. But PiLiPiLi, he's always ready to go for his own aggression. So you can't just go for your own build and, be confident in that.
Yeah. It's so tough with these games when the players are so well proportioned up against each other, when they fight each other so evenly. We've had a couple series in the B stream especially where sometimes, the players are a little bit mismatched. We kind of have to deal with the fact that, okay, there's one player who's pretty strongly favored here. And while I think PiLiPiLi is still a bit of a favored player in this matchup, it's just going to be such a tight series between these two guys. Would not be surprised to see this go to a game 3, Steadfast.
I would almost be disappointed if it didn't, just because to me, this is a pretty classic matchup. Both of them, in my opinion, very, very good players. Both have a really cool approach to the game. And, well, I'm not sure if you're aware, but once upon a time, they played a best of 69 versus each other.
Nice.
And, yeah, it was... I got to look up the score right now, but it was a long one. Like, JonSnow won, I know that. But,
okay.
Yeah, it was a long, grueling best of 69. Actually, you know what? No, it wasn't even that long. Yeah, JonSnow won 35-14.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad. Yeah, interesting to see him down one game then after winning almost twice as many matches here. But, you always want your 69s to be long and hard. So very exciting to see these guys going at it once again in game number 2. Steadfast, again, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and observe this match as you've been doing a phenomenal job of it. And we're going to hop straight in to game number 2 between these two players. JonSnow, who do we have up first? Or pardon me, Steadfast, who do we have up first? I've spoiled it.
Spoilers relating to JonSnow, the classic. We have spawning up in the top left position of the map the blue Zerg player from Psystorm Gaming. Give it up for the aforementioned JonSnow.
Very nice.
I don't want it.
Every time. It's wonderful. You do such a good impression. And on the bottom right-hand side in the red, it is our Protoss player, PiLiPiLi. All right, Steadfast, I got to do something a little unprofessional here. My office is about 95 degrees right now, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, although it may as well be 95 degrees centigrade, super warm. So I need to take off my sweatshirt, and I don't like to undress on camera, so I've waited until the game started to take off my clothes, because if you're going to see me take off my clothes on camera, you have to subscribe to my OnlyFans account. If you could entertain the people for about 30 seconds or a minute while I shrug off this sweatshirt, I will be right back. Give me just a moment, please.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so everyone in the chat, now's your opportunity. While he's gone, just spam like Creighton WTF in the chat, and he won't know what's going on, and it's just going to be hilarious. He'll come back to that. But anyways, we do have a hatch block coming down from PiLiPiLi right here, and well, it's something I would have expected to see a little bit more from him. It can be indicative of something like a resonating glaives build. That any time that you can kind of dislodge the Zerg opponent a little bit, and something like forcing them to go for a hatch where they didn't want to go for a hatch is always an opportunity.
Definitely. Anytime you can force bad play out of your opponent, that's always a win. I mean, always a win. This is what StarCraft is I don't want to say all about, but partially about, right? Where you where it's not just you have to win the game, but you got to force your opponent into bad positions and force them into a losing position as well. So always a bit of a win. JonSnow should be able to drop a natural down, though. Not too terrible, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not going to be super. It's just uncomfortable in terms of dealing with either an early adept or, like I said, that resonating glaives pressure. It just makes things uncomfortable. But we are going to be seeing a quick stalker coming out of PiLiPiLi. And he's going to be looking to deny scouting, and he will be going for that early Twilight. Now, this still can be a DT opening, but we'll have to see if any probes get pulled off gas here. That'll be the big tell.
Yeah, a couple things to look for when you're asking if it's going to be DTs or if it's going to be glaved adepts. And obviously the robo going down can be a big deal. If there's no robo, less likely that it's going to be glaved adepts, but the robo does in fact drop here for PiLiPiLi. And as you said, if those probes get pulled off of gas, that's a good indicator that you don't need all that gas for Dark Templar, and we do see both gases partially saturated at 2 out of 3. Link's getting some nice initial shots off here on that Stalker. They will be forced away by the Adept, but good little pressure here. By the way, Glaved Adepts has not started up, as I say, Glaved Adept starts up exactly for PiLiPiLi. Nicely done.
Yeah, that was a really big play right there from PiLiPiLi. He actually picked off the Overlord with that Stalker, and the fact that he was able to sneak out with that, really nice moves. That is so frustrating to deal with as JonSnow. Now, JonSnow looks like he is going to be going for a very early Roachhorn here. Now, the most common response has been coined as the DRG response.
Yes.
Which is where you go for just... are you familiar with the DRG response?
Yes.
Perfect. Do you want to...
Please tell the people back home.
Oh, fair enough. So it is one gas, and you go basically up to 41 workers, and you get a Spore Crawler at every base, a Spine Crawler at the third, and a bunch of Queens. You defend with Lings, and then add on Roaches with all the gas you've saved up. Now, the counterpoint to that is what we've seen recently in the last little bit is a 2-gas response that apparently Dark... I haven't seen this myself, but apparently Dark has popularized or has started going for it. You get 3 very, very early Ravagers, and the goal is to take care of this War Prism.
Mm-hmm.
But Wit grows about. But the only problem is the first Warpin has already come. And, well, JonSnow just now is morphing in his first couple of Ravagers. And I don't think he's not prepared.
No, he's not ready for it at all. We already see these Adepts up here in the main base, no drone pulls at all, and even though the Adepts are wasting a couple shots on some of the Lings here, we're going to start to see this drone count fall a little bit more. No shade even started from PiLiPiLi, and that is indicative that he feels very comfortable in this position, as he should, Steadfast. There's just nothing here to respond to it. The first wave of Adepts has gotten 14 drones already. This is maybe not game-ending damage, but crippling damage.
I almost would... Well, I suppose PiLiPiLi doesn't have a third base yet, and now there are a good number of units on the map. Oh, this is so annoying as JonSnow right now. You try and get on top of these units, and you end up losing about half the Zerglings. And, well, he can't even actually end the attack yet. And PiLiPiLi, it is looking like he's going to commit off of 2 bases right now. He's building Immortals, a couple more Gateways. This is terrifying.
Yeah, it really is. Those Roaches those Ravagers slightly out of position, obviously looking for the pickup, as you said earlier, on the Warp Prism. Not going to find it. The Warp Prism going to rotate up to the main here, and ooh, JonSnow not spotted yet. It looks like he's moving 1 Ling into position, I think, here. Probably 1 Roach into position here. Queens are there to respond to it, though. The other Adept's going to shark down to the third base and try and find some damage there. So far, JonSnow has done a decent job defending, but as you said, PiLiPiLi on 2 bases, Immortals coming out. Even more gateways getting built now. Look at the structures tab. 4 gates on the field, 2 more coming out. This is a big push. Wait, is that 6 gates? Yeah, 6 gates
Yes,
on the field, 2 more coming out, 8 gates. I was like, that 6 gates doesn't make any sense on 2 bases right now. 8 gates coming out for PiLiPiLi. He's 100% all in right now on 41 probes.
The weird thing is JonSnow is kind of all in defensively. He doesn't have a layer. He doesn't have, a good worker count. And this is the right response, don't get me wrong. But this is just a testament to the damage he suffered earlier on. And, well, he is going to need to find an incredible set of biles, I think, on this War Prism to have any chance. You can see, despite the fact that this attack is coming right at his front, he does not even see it coming until it walks up that ramp.
Yeah, that early robo gives you such power. The first observer you kick out can pick back that creep so well. Nice kill on that morphing in spine crawler rather, and these adepts all in a big punch, all in a big bunch, which means that the corrosive biles are a little bit more difficult to dodge, and some of them are going to land here. But those are the corrosive biles that really need to finish. Oh my goodness gracious, Steadfast! Does that end the game for PiLiPiLi?
Not yet. There's still so many adepts, and most of the tankiness for these Ravagers has been taken down. We saw a couple of them getting obliterated as that shade finished. But this is an opportunity now for JonSnow to maybe hold. Stalker on the rally gets taken out. Mostly Lings popping out, and that is still not good against Blade Adept. Oh, a nice Corrosive Bile helping out a lot right there. This one Immortal will go down before the recall takes out.
Barely.
And that was
so
close.
That was very, very close. Very dangerous. Beautiful positioning by PiLiPiLi, by the way. Trapping those Immortals up against the natural hatchery so that the Lings couldn't get a big surround on them. Surrounding the Immortals with the Glaive Adepts, which can soak up those Ling shots a little bit more. And correct me if I'm wrong, Steadfast, but if you have the if you're not controlling the Adepts, having the Lings attacking the Adepts means the Adepts are going to focus fire down the Ling that's attacking them first, meaning that they're able to thin out that Ling count a little bit more and not focus fire down on things like Roaches and Ravagers, which you want those Immortals to be working on instead.
Yes, exactly. And, well, this is still a huge commitment, and JonSnow knows about it. Ooh. Oh, interesting move. Only shading half of the Adepts right there. He will force field. Oh, man, I think you intended to cancel that, actually. And he loses about half his army there, does PiLiPiLi. And once again, JonSnow in a really tough spot, but has an opportunity. Both force fields were taken out by those Corrosive Biles. We do see the Corrosive Biles mostly being dodged by PiLiPiLi, but now there's just one Immortal, and it's actually fighting Lings.
Oh, yeah, you never want that. The Immortal wants to be shelling down on Ravagers and Roaches. Roaches, of course, because it does double damage, and Ravagers because they're just so bulky. Every Immortal shot wastes DPS that it fires onto a Ling. The good news is the Warp Prism has kept the Immortal alive here. 17 more drones have gone down, and JonSnow now on 20 drones. Even though PiLiPiLi was more or less all in with the attack, he's done crippling economic damage, which means this game will probably, much like the show, go on.
I actually think that might just be too much damage for JonSnow to recover here. Oh, look at this, the little Ling run by counterattack.
Save that Warp Gate on 4 health. What?
Oh my god, wow. That is insane. Now, one thing that's a problem for PiLiPiLi is he's mined out of half the mineral patches in his main. Yeah. And the natural's starting to run low as well.
Adept pressure continues, though, here. PiLiPiLi going to go to an empty third base. That Warp Prism in the main will get driven away by the Roaches and Ravagers and Queens as well. But drones trying to pop out here. And these 4 Adepts just being so pernicious, so annoying. JonSnow has a lot of rebuilding work to do. But if PiLiPiLi can get to a third base, I think this game may be just a little bit close to over here. The income differential right now is insane. 700 minerals and gas per minute more for PiLiPiLi than for JonSnow. And even though these Adepts don't get a lot of damage done, they still force out some more units from PiLiPiLi, force out those Ravagers, and from JonSnow, and PiLiPiLi is keeping the pressure on. Unbelievable. Still moving in with more Adepts, still attacking in the main base with the Warp Prism, and this Immortal is being so annoying in the main.
I think this is a really great usage of the position that PiLiPiLi is in right now. He's just keeping the pressure on, as you said, and I really love this Disruptor add-on from PiLiPiLi. For me, that is almost a guaranteed nail in the coffin. I don't see any way that unless PiLiPiLi somehow misses all of his Disruptor shots, I really can't see a way that JonSnow is going to be able to survive. Now, he has grown back up to 30. I don't know.
So Steadfast, let's do a little StarCraft pop quiz. Are you ready? We're talking about Disruptors. We're talking about Ravagers. Do Ravagers have Blink?
I know this one.
Okay, we'll table this one for a minute. We'll think about it later. Do Ravagers have Stim to escape a Disruptor ball?
No, they don't. You're right. Yeah, and they don't have Blink either. Oh my God.
They don't have Blink. They don't have Stim. They usually don't have a Warp Prism available to pull them out of pressure if they get hit with a Disruptor Ball. Basically, the point I'm trying to make here is I don't know if you've put 2 and 2 together yet, Steadfast. This is pretty high-level StarCraft stuff. But Ravagers are not great at dodging Disruptor Balls. You have to have impeccable micro right now. And with JonSnow being taxed to the limit elsewhere on the map, I would not be surprised to see these Disruptors getting some good shots. Warp Prism speed is finished up as well, and that just makes PiLiPiLi's zippy Warp Prism so much more dangerous. An immediate pull of these drones, but the Disruptor Balls are going to start coming, and they ain't going to stop coming for quite some time.
God, that's so unfortunate. JonSnow, with the quick pull, was able to only lose a single drone to that first Purification Nova. But the most unfortunate timing on his drone pop, loses 3 more drones as they pop out. And PiLiPiLi, sometimes fortune favors the bold, and he has been nothing if not bold in this game.
Calculated right there. Very well done by PiLiPiLi. He's going to drop back into the third base, maybe move to the natural. It really doesn't matter. This Warp Prism, of course, doesn't have to siege up to get these Disruptors out. So it can just drop the Disruptors here, and oh my God, he's going to try and disrupt both of them. Oh, man! Another good pull there from PiLiPiLi. He's going to leave one of the Disruptors behind to save the Warp Prism. Smart play there to save the Warp Prism, and he's going to recall the single Disruptor out. Behind all of this, by the way, PiLiPiLi, third base. Colossus on the way. He hasn't got extended thermal lance, but I'm sure he'll be working on it quite soon. And he's just building up to a very dangerous army. JonSnow has been trying to dig himself out of a very deep hole ever since that Glaive Adept all-in a long time ago.
Yeah, and he has gotten his drone count back up to a respectable number. He's up to 50 drones, adding on the Baneling nets. But look at the army supply right now. He's down 50 army supply. He's going to try a Ling run by here at the third, but man, the double shield battery? Yeah, good luck getting any damage done.
Shield battery's a broken thing. Take it out of the game, Blizzard. Blah, blah. Shut up, balance whiners in the chat, you idiots. Wow, nice dodge there. I was making fun of Ravagers earlier for being fat, but, honestly, they're a little more agile than I thought they were. They're like linebackers in the NFL, where they weigh 250 pounds, but under JonSnow's tutelage, they can actually dodge some corrosive, or some Disruptor Balls. Warp Prism I love in the main base, causing a bit of consternation here while the main army for PiLiPiLi rotates down to the third. Of course, the Observer's going to see the Ravager move outs as well, so PiLiPiLi and JonSnow both know exactly where their armies are. That means this is all going to come down to execution Steadfast. This is going to be a tough hold for JonSnow. Does he have a chance in hell of holding?
He needs to dodge every Purification Nova and hit some really big Corrosive Vials, and already that's going to be a big challenge. He has done a good job of mitigating this one. Oh, only loses one Ravager, and he gets the Disruptors. Oh my God, that's the Corrosive Vial he needed. There's still so many Adepts on the map, but that was the start to a miracle for JonSnow.
Wow, those Force Fields keeping the Banelings out of position for a long time here, and it's funny, those Force Fields actually helping out JonSnow as much as hurting him, but he still knocks him down and allows these Adepts to get on top, and JonSnow knows it when he sees it. GG and PiLiPiLi, our pro